Is the vibe much different around here in a day like today compared to Sunday of last week? What a win mean to you guys?
Well, I think it's confidence in some areas. It's also we need to get a lot better in a ton of areas, and so the nature of the discussions, the conversations of the corrections is a little bit different after a win than a loss, and making sure you've got everybody dialed in, which we did. Our coaches did a great job of refocusing those guys last week, and now it's a different type of focus. I think you have a very captive audience right now with our guys. And so many things in the game. We tackled better, but we still missed tackles. We aligned better, but we still had a couple of alignment things. We should have blocked a punt for a touchdown, and we should have had a punt block for a touchdown. And so, again, 1,000 things after a win or a loss. And again, as I've said, as long as we're in this together and we're in fix-it mode, we've got a chance.
Mark, do you like some of the progress you saw from your defense? And you mentioned some better tackling, but some other things. Just kind of in general, do you see progress from the defense?
Definitely. There's definitely progress. I think we improved in every phase, which is encouraging, but there's still, a lot of meat on the bone in every phase, which is, again, glass half full, glass half empty type of situation. We did a nice job in four-man pressure. I think as the night went on, creating a ton of pressure, making them as one-dimensional as possible was big. We made a few plays in the secondary. We missed a few plays in the secondary. But I think coming out of that, we'll do nothing but improve. And then,
going back to the subject of running the ball, how do you balance utilizing that strength while also not running too much and becoming predictable?
That's the always the $1 million question. And if you can run the ball, you can set anything up. You have that. When I say you can do anything, you have the ability to do anything. You can get in, certain coverages. You can dial people into certain looks. But that's all predicated on being able to run the ball.
Going to the kind of quarterback carousel of the rotation last night, you mentioned that you thought you saw enough from both Taylor and Jeff for them to both have playing time. Can you talk specifically what you saw from Taylor? Because I think most people would have just assumed it would have just have been Jeff last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Taylor had a fantastic camp. There were a lot of people. He had a lot of people in his camp as far as supporters of where he fell on the depth chart, and it's those guys have both done a great job of being competitive through not winning the job, so to speak. Battling through that is a hurdle, and then as you go through the season and into the grind of the season and not, maybe not playing exactly the percentage of reps that you want to, that's another kind of mental hurdle, and they've both managed that really well. And Taylor's a playmaking guy, and again, had a couple plays in there that I know he'll just shake his head and slap himself on the side of the face, and we had one guy, our primary read, wide open for a touchdown, and we missed it. Had a couple very obvious overthrows, but that's stuff that he'll learn from and come back ready to go.
Rob, with 2 or even 3 guys in the mix now, does the way you balance practice reps change, or the way you try to work guys into various situations change to get them all prepared?
Maybe. That's the greatest answer of all time, right? It depends. Just depending on and again, at that or any position, guys are going to be at various percentages of availability throughout the week. This guy's whatever percent, this guy's whatever percent, and then that will dictate reps from there.
Steve.
After watching how it worked out with those two, would you be comfortable doing that again? Is that the way are you leaning either way that you want one, or what do you think of it this week?
I would be comfortable doing it if it's if it makes sense. The game plan last week dictated that, and there were some things that I thought both guys would do better than the other guy, if that makes sense. I think they're both capable of executing the whole thing, but they played well enough and executed to kind of their deal at a high enough level to warrant that. We're not done game planning for Washington State yet, and so that we'll see. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I'm just laughing because of a joke last night, but a little bit more. We ran some of that stuff with Jeff too, and it was very effective. I think Taylor has a little bit different comfort level with a few packages that aren't really easily identified by the naked eye, just as you guys watch it. But it's not this guy's Michael Vick and the other guy's Ben Roethlisberger.
Mark, this has sort of been touched on a little bit, but is there something driving how you and your staff are managing the quarterbacks in game? Is it something during the week, something that you see on the field when you're at Colorado or any, fill in the blank team?
Did you say, is there something driving? Is that what you said?
Driving, yeah. Driving how you and your staff are managing the quarterbacks in game.
Well, yeah, hopefully the offense is driving and scoring touchdowns. It's just, again, how the game plan is dictated and, how the game plan is made, which is dictated by a million factors. Their strengths and weaknesses, our strengths and weaknesses that week, what we think is our best way to attack them, and then parcel out the reps from there. Once you're into the game, that's where it's, we had a definite plan of how we were going to start it off, and then from there it's gut, to a certain extent. But the hard part is when you score with one guy and you have a plan to go the other guy, of sticking with that plan. You made that plan with no pressure and all the best input theoretically, and so you stick with that, and then after you get that past whatever it is, some people will do quarters, some people do drives, some people do number of plays, whatever that is, once you get past that, then it's game time. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'd love to recruit guys and have them be great players and stay here for 5 years and redshirt and play, but it's just not realistic. I think from whatever inputs these guys get today, as soon as somebody else is on campus, the other guy has to transfer. We get guys that are committed, and so guys on our team should transfer, which is ridiculous. And at a lot of positions, specifically quarterback, where it's kind of that, unfortunately, kind of the specialist mentality. But yeah, you look across the country right now, there's transfers playing everywhere. There's graduate transfers playing everywhere. You obviously have to be great at that position, and there's various ways to make that happen.
Steve. Mark, will Carrington face any team discipline for his citation last week?
That will all be handled internally.
So he's eligible to be back then next week, correct?
If there's any change of that, we'll talk about that after this game.
After this game?
Yeah.
But by the NC2A suspension, he's back, correct? I'm just trying to see his...
If there's a change in that, we'll discuss it after the game. It's really the best thing to do. There's other parts to
But could he face a game suspension from you, or is that past?
Unrelated.
Unrelated?
Yeah.
Behind Royce, it seems like every week maybe there's a different guy that kind of emerges. Is it just feeling out who's hot that week, or has kind of Taj maybe assumed that number 2 role?
Well, again, it depends. Kanai's done a great job, both running, protection, all the facets of a complete tailback. Taj, we had a little plan in there to get him on the perimeter, do some different things that way. He's still developing all the protections and all that stuff, which he's getting better at. And so, yeah, I think just as you continue to have all those guys develop, it'll be, who's the most confident, who's the healthiest, who's, whatever by week.
Rob. You mentioned, getting 4-man pressure, and it seems like in nickel situations earlier in the year, 4-man pressure helped. Was that like a definite thing this offseason? You want to try to bring more guys in certain situations, and against Washington State, what's the danger, the kind of the risk reward of bringing extra guys? Yeah, that's obviously if you can create pressure with 3 guys, you can be a lot more multiple and a lot different in coverage, and the same can be said for a 4-man rush. Anything after that, there's a ton of adjustment, a ton of all those things that certainly is what has made Mike Leach very successful at what he does and why they do what they do. But yeah, you have to vary things enough. You have to be standard enough in your own mind, so you can play fast and free. You're not just constantly thinking about formation adjustment or coverage adjustment, whatever that might dictate by coverage. And then you have to make the quarterback uncomfortable, whether that's hitting him, pressuring him, confusing him, creating turnovers, just all those things you have to do to get in their head.
Back to the running game, when you're talking about Royce Freeman, guys like Taj, when you go into a game, do you have a limit on the amount of carries a guy like Royce will get, or is it just a matter of how the game progresses and energy and things like that?
It's everything. You can go in with a limit, and if a guy, Royce is a guy that delivers and takes punishment, and that all adds up. But if he bounces, 4 runs and runs out of bounds and doesn't get hit, that one might not count. And so there's not necessarily a pitch count type of mentality. It's more of who's fresh, who's confident, who's ready to go, and can do some things later in the game that you need to be able to do, whether it's protections or executing certain things that we would need him or, somebody maybe with a little bit more experience to do. Well, in this game, in our situation right now, we had just, it wasn't even packages. It was kind of a commitment to certain elements of our game plan. We didn't have a Jeff plan and a Taylor plan. I've been places where you absolutely do that. You have this list of plays and that's it. This list of plays and that's it. I've seen other people. It's kind of what I meant. Seen guys shuttle in and out every single play. That's different than what we did, and so it'll really just be dictated on the game plans going forward and how they practice and if one guy is measurably better than the other, we'll look at that too. I think what's best, and you probably said it best right there. If the players think it's the best, it's the best, and hopefully that shows up in their play. But yeah, just trying to get a situation where Eric Chenander can be the eyes and DP can get everybody together, look them in the eye, get the full group together, and if need be, which they did a nice job of yesterday, making some adjustments. It's a one voice deal.